Hello students, welcome to my video class. I have already begun chapter 3, the political chapter, that is on state government, and you learn about the state government, especially the part which is a legislature at the state level, legislative assembly and a legislative council. Now we will talk about the executive at the state level, and under this executive who are the members are actually a very big responsibility who are actually fulfilling. So here comes the governor, the chief minister, the council of ministers, and also we have how this law will be implemented in the country, and if the law is violated, who will be giving the protection. So here the judiciary at the state level also we will be talking about, especially the high court. So let us talk about the legislative council. Now in the recent class I have talked about the legislative assembly, and a legislative council is the upper house, as we have got in the central, especially upper house is a Rajya Sabha. So here we have to see that we have the legislative council, and uh, only in 7 state we can see that these two houses are available, especially legislative assembly and a legislative council. So anyway, I will just give you to find out which are the 7 states which are having the two houses, and you can find out. Okay, so that is I am just leaving on you. So legislative council is the upper house, we have to understand, of the state legislature. So it consists of like the members elected by MLAs of the respective state. It may say whoever from the respective states, especially we have the elected members. So a member of legislative assemblies. So members of local bodies, and graduates, and also the teachers of secondary schools. So it is not that only the MLAs are found in the upper house, but here you will find the who are the members: secondary school teachers, then also the graduate members, and also the local bodies. And then you see some of the members are also nominated by the government, especially from among the people who have special knowledge or experience in the fields of arts, science, and literature, social service, and also cooperative movement. So these are the few things that is very we have to understand. It may say the legislative council members are not directly from the MLA itself, but also varieties of the communities. Okay, now let us know about the qualification of this legislative council. To become the members of this legislative council, what are the things required? Now see, the qualification actually required to become a member of the legislative council are the same as we have to see in the legislative assembly. Now what are the actually qualification that we have seen in the legislative assembly? Now for example, a member should be the citizens of India. A candidate should be a voter in any constituencies of the state. Then a candidate should be less than 25 years, but here we need the 30 years. Okay, here only we can find the difference. And then a candidate should not hold any executive position under the government of India or a state government. That is, we have to see the both places. And the candidate should not be sound mental. The candidate should be the sound mental health. And then here the candidate should not be the bankrupt. So this one is applicable in both places. Okay. So here you have to understand that except that the candidate should not be the less than 30 years. That is only we have to keep in mind in here. Now office. So the meetings of the legislative council are actually chaired by the chairman, or in his absence deputy chairman. Both the officers are actually elected by the members of the council from among themselves. So whoever his members are there, among them only these two members will be always elected. Okay, next we have the powers. So next we have the powers and functions of this legislative council. Now see, the legislative council especially suggests amendments to the proposed law or bills that is introduced by the legislative assembly. It can also initiate discussions on various matters, also with asking questions to the ministers regarding their policies. So here you can see that whatever the bill is a legislative assembly is a passing, so this bill will be discussing here also, and then if it is agreed, if it is no problem, then the bill will be passed to the governor. So that is how it is taking place. Now what is the string? Now for example, in a legislative assembly we have talked that not more than 500 members. So here one third of the legislative, it means the strength of the legislative council is a one third of the legislative assembly of the state. Now it is a permanent house whose one third members retired every second year. Now we should know that uh, in this houses, or in this house, suppose the members are appointed especially, so here those who have appointed especially, so it is actually permanent house. So therefore whoever is appointed here, you can see that one third of the members are very old age sometimes seems to be, and so they get retired and all. So every after 2 years the things are actually seen that way. So every now and then you can see the new members are coming to these houses. So this is the permanent actually the house. Next we have the executive. Now when we talk about the executive, it means here the governor is the first person, second person is the chief minister and the council of ministers. Now even though governor is there, but then chief minister and council of members are the main persons of functioning the executive department. So let's see the governor, how this governor is really functioning. Now the governor is the head of the state, that is a way often we can call it. However, the main function of the executive implementation of the laws is done by the chief minister along with his council of ministers. So that is how we have to understand. So that is why the governor is known as the nominal head of the state, and he or she is appointed by the president of India. So he is not elected by anyone else, or he is not appointed. So now we have to understand. So how this governor actually as a nominal head working in the state. So he or she actually holds the office for 5 years, and then however you can find that he or she can be removed by the president of India even before his completion of the term. So that is also given here. So let us see what is the functions that is actually we find in the governor place, or governor as a member there. So the governor actually performs the following functions. Number one, appoints the chief minister. Appointing the chief minister, council of ministers and other important officials along with the members of the state public service commission. So governor has got the responsibility of appointment of the chief minister, and then a council of ministers to whom will be appointed. Then other official members, other official some of the DG, IPS, then something like that we can see there. Okay, all right. Then a second part we have to understand, addresses the first session of the legislative assembly. Addresses the first session of the legislative assembly. So here the governor is giving the introduction part, or introduction speech. So that is good. Then a third one we have to understand, approves bills. Approves bills passed by the state legislature. Okay. Then again issues ordinances equivalent to laws in case of the legislature is not in a session. Now you have to understand that sometimes bills are brought. That time the governor may not be happy, then he may return it for the amendment, for the change. Okay, we can see. Okay, then approves bills passed by the state legislature, and then again you can find that the issues ordinances actually equivalent to laws in case the legislature is not in session. Then forgives and reduces the punishment of the people imprisoned in the accordance with the state laws. Now you can find that a governor has the right to forgive, especially a person who perhaps may not be committing the crime, and when his like a bail or his verdict is pronounced, then a governor in the appeal of this governor may forgive him. So that is how actually we can get. So the governor is a functioning this way. Okay, next we have the chief minister and a council of ministers. Now what is the chief minister? So after the assembly, the elections, the party with the highest number of elected MLAs in the legislative assembly forms the government. So today, for example, BJP, a big number of MLAs have been actually elected, and then so they were actually gathering, and then they will be selecting the who will be the chief minister. Now see, when we talk about especially they become the ruling party, and the leader of the ruling party is then appointed as the chief minister by the governor. Now who will be the chief minister? Then the governor will be appointing that, and then the governor appoints the council of ministers on the recommendation of the chief minister. Now chief minister will be, after having appointed, the chief minister will give the his opinion, who are the members of the council of ministers. Then the governor is electing them. Okay. Then what are the functions and powers of the chief minister? Let's see. So the chief minister does the some of the work that is here. First of all, we have to know that chief minister is the head of council of ministers. He is the head of the council of ministers. Secondly, he acts as a link between the governor and the council of ministers. He is like a middleman. Then third point, acts as the chief architect of the policies of the state government. Now whatever the state requires, whatever the state looking for, then here the chief minister is the person who is always doing the activity over here. Then fourth point, allocates separate departments to the council of ministers. Allocate separate departments to the council of ministers, and then coordinates and supervises the functioning of the entire ministry. So he is the everything, all in all, and then he is doing the everything. So let's see now also powers and functions of the council of ministers. Now how this powers and functions of the council of ministers actually going on. Now council of ministers performs the powers and functions this way. First, the council of ministers aids and advises the governor. Okay. Then introduces appropriate proposals of law or bills in the legislature and gets them approved. These are the few functions that is a council of ministers actually doing. Now term, let's see how many years they are actually. So the term of the chief minister and council of ministers is of 5 years. So we have to understand 5 years. However, they remain in power as long as they enjoy the faith of the state legislature. Faith of the state legislature, and then if the state legislature loses faith in the chief minister or any minister of the council, the entire ministry is bound to resign immediately. So suppose they are not successful, whatever the step they have taken, then they have to resign. But today we can't see this resignation is done by any of the ministers, even though they are great failure. I don't know, it seems like today's ministers are actually shameless, no shame. Even though they are failure, but they do the kind of to save their image. No, they are arresting the others, they are torturing the others, and so much of things they are doing right now. So we can see how the functioning. Okay, then again, even before the completion of their term, the ministry is bound to resign, but it doesn't happen much in the present situation. Okay, so that is about how these council of ministers are working. The last part of this chapter is judiciary. Now, when we talk about the judiciary, this is the court system. How this violation of the law, once it is implemented in the state, and then when anyone is going against it, then this judiciary system is there to prevent such people, to protect and to, according to the law and according to the situation, the imprisonment will be imposed on them. So here the judiciary at the state level consists of a various high courts, and a high court actually is headed by the chief justice. So we know that a high court is having the chief justice, and it hears appeals from the lower courts, protects the fundamental rights of the people, and then settles disputes in accordance with the state laws. Now we have learned the fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Now they have mentioned here, protect the fundamental rights. It means any of the person, either it is a government sector or common sector, whoever has been violated, who are violated by any other agents, then here the judiciary system is there to protect them. So then settle disputes, disputes in the sense like it may be like a land dispute, it may be the crime, it may be the some property. So such kind of the disputes are actually also settled here, so in accordance with the state laws. Now, and supervises the functioning of the lower courts. So that is so we have got a courts like a district court, which is known as like a subordinate court. So these courts are also monitored by the high court of the state. So how these courts are actually functioning in different districts. So high court is actually monitoring on this area. So this discussion is we are completing, students. The second part of this chapters we have already learned. So first part we learned about the legislature. Legislature we have got in a state, and we have the legislative assembly, the lower house, where you can find that the members hardly maybe not more than like a 500 string. And then also the qualification of the members of this legislative assembly we learn. Then we learn about the powers and functions, and under this powers and functions we have learned about the legislative, that is financial, then monitoring, and then strength and term. Then again we have learned about the like a legislative council, and under this legislative council we have learned about the qualification of this legislative council, just like a legislative assembly, and then offices, powers and functions, strength and term. So these are the things we have learned. So and then followed by we learn about the executive. Under this executive we learn about the governor, how this governor actually functioning, and how the governor actually the nominal head of the state. That one we came to know. And then governor is actually functioning under the like some of the departments, or above the some of the departments also. And then here the governor is actually first of all he is appointing the others to be the ministers or council of ministers. So he is appointing, and then also you can find that he addresses the first session in the legislative assembly, like the introduction part he is giving. And then also we can find that he approves the bill which is passed from the legislative assembly, and he also forgives the some of the like people who supposed to get the imprisonment, isn't it? But he is forgiving also. And then we learn about the chief minister and council of ministers. So here chief ministers, how he is functioning, and under the chief minister which are the activities we learn. It is like he is the head of the council of ministers. Then he acts a link between the like a governor and the council of ministers, monitoring. And then he acts as an architect of the like policies of the state government. And also we learn about that he is coordinates and supervises the functioning of the entire ministry. So these are the few things that we learned about the council of ministers, and then also the chief minister. Next we learn about the judiciary system. So under this judiciary system we find that there is a state level consists of the high court, and at this high court we can understand that we have got one chief justice, and judiciary system, that is a high court is actually guided by the chief justice. And in this area the chief justice is giving the verdict to which are the areas, especially when any of the lower court suppose decision is not satisfied, then in the high court they appeal, and then high court is giving the a proper judgment. And then also we can see here that a high court also protects the fundamental rights of a person, and also you can see that fundamental rights we have learned, especially right to equality, right to freedom, right to right against the exploitation, is not. So these are the key things we learned in the previous chapter. And also the settles disputes in accordance with the state laws. So some of the issues are taking place in the state, So those also are settled by the this state, especially High Court. Then and also supervises the functioning of the lower courts. So even lower courts are also monitored by the this High Court. So few things that we learned. So students, with this few things that we have completing the chapters. So hope you listen this video and you read this chapter also again and again, so that you will understand. Okay, so see you and thank you.